Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Trader Minute. It's great to have you on board. Thanks for tuning in this morning. And looking at here at the futures, flat. They've been slightly down to flat all morning. Not a whole lot out there. We had the ADP number come out this morning. ADP is the largest private payroll company here in the United States. They have a report that comes out the Wednesday before the big jobs number, which is typically always the first Friday. And it was much better than expected. It came in at 238,000 jobs created versus an estimate of 205,000. That was the consensus of 205,000. Really, for that reporting, anything over 200,000 is considered strong. All right, so yeah, it was a nice report, but you see the futures didn't react to it at all. Wasn't much of a reaction there. I've read some reports this morning, and there's some people saying, "All right, this is it. The economy's on the right track. This is it. This is exactly what we're looking for." And it has been slightly getting better. The ADP now, the ADP is not a direct reflection of what the Fed report's going to be on Friday. It just kind of gives you hey, this might be coming down the pipeline. Also, some reports were saying that the estimates might rise a little bit based off of this good ADP report. The estimates might rise for the Fed report. We'll see if that happens, but you never know with those Fed numbers and what that's going to be. Okay. This morning, gold's down 5, oil's up about a quarter, and with gold, that's an area that is getting my attention a little bit more as time goes on, and see if we can't get some type of a little bit of a rally in that area. Some stocks we looked at yesterday, Goldcore and AG, which is a silver company, they're showing some signs of strength. We just want a little bit more bullish confirmation that they're ready to go. But right now it looks like they've built a pretty decent bottom, and looking for an opportunity within that area here in the coming week or two. Our positions this morning, here's Boeing. It's set to trade up just over a dime, 10 to 15 cents, right around that area. And then also with Qualcomm, flat to up. It's got a pretty big spread here between the bid and the ask. The bid here is 73.25. It's just the ask is up there at 73.48. So it's probably going to open fairly flat this morning. And then also Morgan Stanley, same thing, fairly flat. Just right there, 31.52 if you can't read that, versus 31.50 to 31.55 on the bid and the ask. So the position's all set to open fairly flat this morning. Now, one thing that was interesting yesterday is earlier on, so far this year, we haven't noticed, there's been some of the buy the dippers, right? The market hasn't really closed at the bottoms. It's rallied off the bottoms a little bit. But yesterday, there was a little dip here and there, but overall, the market was up fairly strong and ended fairly strong. Not a lot of dips for the buy the dippers to buy into. So, could this be a point to where they just start jumping in and the market starts to rally? Well, at least start to uptrend a little bit more than the first 3 days of the years where it was down, and then a good day yesterday. Didn't quite erase all of the. Let's go over the SPX. It didn't erase all of the losses we've seen since the first trading day of the year, which is going to have to be up there over 1840. But right now with the futures flat, after a pretty decent day yesterday, up 11 points for the S&P, not a bad sign. It's fairly bullish. These smaller moves, again, we talk about the smaller moves. When you have these uptrends intact, the small down days are more of a sign of a strength versus anything weak. Okay, but as I was talking about yesterday, yeah, you're starting to see the reports. At least I saw several yesterday of people predicting a 10% correction. And yeah, we're probably going to get that sometime this year. But right now, the market doesn't have a whole lot on its plate to react to. Okay, the Fed minutes are going to be out this afternoon. I'm not sure. I don't know if the market's really going to make much of it unless there's some big unknown thing that happened within the meetings. Uh, but it's already the taper is already on the table. It's out there. They've taken 10 billion. We'll see what those what they're gonna reveal today. But I'm not. I don't think it's going to be as big as what we've been used to last year with these Fed minutes when it was all about, oh, are they talking about tapering? What are they saying about tapering? Are they going to do it? Are they not? And really a lot of the Fed minutes have been groomed very nicely ever since the time when Bernanke came out and said and made no mention of tapering during the announcement to reveal in the minutes that there was a lot of talk of tapering, and it might start as soon as like next month. And this was about a year ago when that happened, and that caught the market by surprise and sold off. I don't think we're going to get those type of surprises now that again it's already out there. So the Fed minutes might start to become a little bit less relevant. They've been a big thing here in the market for about a year, but it might be starting to fade. All right, and that's good. Along the earnings front, we're starting to get into it a little bit more. Next week, it'll start to be quite a few more. One of the bigger companies out there, and we talk about it in here, was Micron. Wow, what a report. Let me just show you Micron here. Here they were trading before about 21.75, right around that range, shot up to 23, and now they're up to 24, and it's still uptrending as we speak, and you can see it moving up a little bit there. They had a phenomenal report. They reported 77 cents per share. The estimate was about 44 cents. The revenues came in at 4.04 billion, which is 42% higher than the last year. They just blew their numbers out, and this is probably going to get some follow through. Typically, we're not going to look to jump into Micron this morning, but man, that's one of the better reports that I've seen in quite a while. Yeah, PF. We'll look at Facebook. So very nice report on Micron. Also, Monsanto, they topped by 3 cents. The revenues were fairly in line. The revenues came in at 3.15 billion versus 3.08 billion. Yeah, Jasray, good job. That with that report, this thing can move for a while. That's a phenomenal report. That's a game changer, right? Earnings, when the thing about earnings, it's a fundamental move. You can't plan for anything technically around earnings, but yeah, when they blow their numbers out like that, they can move for quite some time. So the market's off and running. Let me just go through a couple of the stocks that we talk about in here that were upgraded or downgraded. Twitter, they got another downgrade. This time from Cantor Fitzgerald. They got downgraded to a sell. But we've seen a lot of downgrades on Twitter, and it hasn't affected the stock that much. Cricket. That's right. No guts, no glory. All right, and then there's Howard Wheel. They had all kinds of things out this morning. Haven't seen them doing a whole lot recently, but they were loaded this morning with all kinds of upgrades and downgrades. Howard Wheel, they downgraded. Well, they upgraded ExxonMobil and BP to an outperform, and then they downgraded Chevron and Tesoro to a sector perform. They were busy. They upgraded a lot of the other energy names, but those are some of the bigger names that we saw in the upgrades and downgrades there. We'll see if that's going to affect those stocks much today. But all right, so the market's off and running. Let's just run through. First of all, I just want to refresh this, see where the market's going to open. Down 3. The market opened down 3. All right. So with the futures, let me just buzz over here real fast. Look at the futures, down one. So at a fair value in there of about $1.50. All right, so the market down three. And for our positions, let's run through them real fast. Boeing, just see how they opened this morning, up about 40 cents. All right, small gap higher this morning. And then also we got Morgan Stanley. This one was set to open fairly flat, down 14 cents. We'll keep our eyes on this today. The 7 is the stop. So if this does look to close below the 7, we'll pull it off and move on. If not, we'll stay in it. We'll be out by Friday, or on Friday for sure. They announce earnings on Monday. Okay, so we'll keep a tight rein on this one. And then also Qualcomm. Qualcomm right now down 37 cents. This is another one we're keeping an eye on. We don't want it to break down below right over here. This number, the low that we saw on, I guess that was Friday of last week. Thank you. Friday of last week right there. Okay. Let's take a look at Micron. Nice gap up to $2.42, gapping over $24 area. Watch it play out. That's a big report, but on these things right now, the implied volatility just spiked. If you're in the trades, you just picked up some extra money based on the implied volatility spiking on it. All right, and the implied volatility. There's a question. I apologize. It just popped into my mind. I think it was Scott or 1T was talking about the implied volatility, and that's the X factor in options pricing. You've always got an implied volatility, right? It's 20 cents or it's a dime or whatever that might be, but that's the one factor that changes based on how volatile the stock gets. A volatile move like this is going to make it increase. It increases a little bit more substantially when stocks fall. You get a nice bump in implied volatility as well. Okay, but that's the X factor. You don't really know what that's going to do along the way. Okay, you can figure out, all right, well, the stock goes up $1, about how much you can make on the options by looking at those two factors. And then time decay, but the implied volatility IV is always the X factor. All right, let's look at Baidu. Yeah, nice, AK. Yeah, nice move here, gapping up to 80, running up above, 180, and gapping and running up over 180. That's a strong move here so far this morning on Baidu. And then I was asked to look at Facebook. Facebook just sideways this morning, down 26 cents. You're looking at technically it is just flat. Okay, and I just watched it, see if it can't push over that 57.5 mark. The 7's kept trying to catch up with it there. I wouldn't worry about it right now if you're in Facebook. AKS. And we looked at some steel stocks yesterday, right? United Steel and Nucor. They all look fairly similar to this, where they drop below the 7 and they've been holding a little bit of support. And what we'd be looking for here is a bounce back up through that 7. Yeah, they're below the 7 right now. If you didn't get out, then this is one to watch. If it closed below 775, I'd probably get out. But right now, you can see the higher lows in here. If this is a higher low and a nice run like this, a break here above $8 and that 7-day moving average would be a nice signal, very nice bullish signal that things probably set to run higher. All right, so I'd give it on a close below the 775. That'd be my line in the sand. Since it's already below the 7, that would be my line in the sand. A close below that is where I'd just get out and move on to the next trade. All right, DLPH. This was one of my top 3 from yesterday so far. It's up 31 cents, breaking up above yesterday's high. That's looking all right. Valero. just flat this morning. The upper band's right there with Valero. So far nothing here to react to. And then Yahoo. Yahoo gapping up slightly and has run a little bit. Now we're up into the upper Bollinger Band. This would be a close right here would be a trend rider bull signal as well as the trend rider. I mean the vibe bull that we saw yesterday. Deb brings up a good question. You guys can answer that in chat too if you like. Um, this is going to vary from person to person, and the way you can look at things as well is percentage. If you're trading with a lot in the account, 500, 1,000 might not be much. Yet if you're trading with a smaller account, 500 to 1,000 be phenomenal. So it's percentages is a good way to look at that too. Deb is to do that. I was working with a person at one time and asked her how the trading was going, and she was saying, "Well, hey, I got into a trade this last week. I didn't make that. I had a little bit of profit in it, and it just wasn't much, so I didn't sell it." And I said, and when at the time it was sitting at a small loss, and I said, "Well, how much did you have?" She says, "I was $80." And so, yeah, I kind of, in my mind, I agreed with her. Yeah, $80, that's not a whole lot. But then I asked her how much she invested to make that $80, and she said 200. So she'd made 40% on the trade, and that opened her mind as to, okay, well, geez, 40%, that's a decent return on a trade. And she says the next time I'll be taking a 40% return when I see it. So yeah, it's going to depend. If you look at it percentage wise, it might paint a little bit different picture for you than a dollar amount too. But I also, I've worked with people in the past, and one lady, she said that if she ever made 500 on a trade, she'd get out no matter what. $500, she would just exit the trade, and because she said it was 500 that she didn't have the day before. All right, and so it's going to be different for everybody, but find something you're comfortable with, a range that you're comfortable with, and that's my recommendation. If anybody else wants to respond to that, go ahead and chat there. Yeah, you guys, Baidu's looking good, and nice job. Um, we looked at Facebook. Goodyear Tire was from a couple days ago. It's up 9 cents. It had a nice run yesterday, and then sold off into the close. Another small gap higher here. Does this like to stay in the upper band? Yeah, not a bad run right through this range over here in the upper band. But so far, if you happen to be in that trade, no signs of weakness there. And these small days like that, moving up with the 7, are actually pretty bullish. It gapped up here over 24. You just want that 24 to hold. Not that it's a big level of resistance or anything like that, but just these higher numbers, you just want those to keep holding as support and see if it can't keep moving for you. All right, let's go look at some of the other stocks. One stock that I looked at yesterday was one of my runner-ups, Western Union. Had a nice move. It's a nice signal yesterday. It wasn't a trend rider or a vibe entrance because the averages weren't all going up, but it was one of the technical moves that we watch for in here. So you see level of resistance, it pulls back, and then you get a big strong candle breaking out of this higher level, breaking above the prior resistance right there. We got a higher low locked in as well. Had a beautiful looking setup, and today it's off and running a little bit. They were upgraded as well. It helped them out, but a nice move here and pretty strong one. I mean, towards 18, really 1825 to me appears to be the next level of resistance above it. And it doesn't mean it's going straight there. It might consolidate a little bit on its way up to that range, but that looks to be about the next range for this. Bank of New York Mellon. Now remember that the financials, they struggled a little bit yesterday. Watch this one. Uh, Not that this is a big level for it or anything like that, but see if it holds that if you happen to be in the trade. If you're not in a trade, what you're looking for here, and it would be a bull vibe signal. Like with this uptrend right here, all the averages would be rising. I don't have them in there, but look for something like that. That would be a bullish signal that this stock's ready to run higher. Uh, if it breaks, it's already below the 7. Really, if it hits the 7 and pushes back down, would be a bearish sign. But it's in a nice uptrend, so it wouldn't be a trend changer. But right here, what we're seeing is probably just a little bit of profit taking on likely another move higher. But just to keep an eye on that. Let's take a run through the financials. Goldman's up slightly. Look at our position. Morgan Stanley has turned positive, up 11 cents. And then Wells Fargo, JP Morgan. Yeah, they're all reversing a little bit here. So that's good for financials. One other one I want to look at. Citi. This has been outperforming the others. It was up yesterday. Gap Tire had a big day. This was one on the day we made the MS trade. This one had just gone too far, way away from the 7. It just rocketed even above the prior highs from this area over here. And it's still in the upper Bollinger Band. I don't know if anybody's in this. It seems like there was somebody in this. But man, if it closed here, it's still in the band. You could just ride this until it closes inside the upper Bollinger Band. That's where it gets fun. You get in these trades like that, they remain in that band. You can ride them. Of course, when you get a big gain, like if anybody happened to be in this, you get a big gain like this. That's when we start to kick in. All right, when do I take this? When do I take it? I don't want to lose this gain, right? Everybody knows the thought process that goes through our minds as humans when we get gains or when we get losses. We all react very similar, very similar. And so at a time you could take half off and then watch it and see if it keeps running for you. But stay in that upper Bollinger Band. As long as it's in that band, you could stay in the trade, and when it closes back inside, that's when you'd get out. Boeing up a quarter. Yeah, well, JC asked. We think we're going to take BA off today. We talked about Boeing yesterday in a meeting we had here, and we've got plans for Boeing. There's a chance we might take some off, if not all, but we might take some off and look to trade, add another trade to the challenge. We've got different things in mind. We're going to watch this play out today, and go as it goes. But that's one of the things we might do is take a portion off and then put it into another setup out there in the market and find a good one. All right, and we might take it all off. We'll see how this day ends up for Boeing, but we're getting to the point where we don't have our fingers getting ready for the trigger. I'm laughing because trigger kept coming to my mind. I was cleaning guns last night, so I just got triggers on my mind. Tesla. Yeah, AK. This is nice. Early on, this is what you're wanting to see: a push up through the 7, a push up through 150. Um, that's a good looking sign right in here. Let me bring in. I don't. Yeah, I mean it's similar to the trade we saw. I didn't put it on my top 3. What was it? Was on Western Union WU. Not a trend rider or a vibe, but that's a very nice bullish setup right there. And if it closes up in this range, it's likely ready to set to run up into. The initial target on this would be there's a little support, resistance at about 160, and that's one of the bigger numbers. And for a stock like Tesla to hit that 160, it's pretty easy to do. And it's had a nice comeback here off the bottom. Got some of the lawsuits dismissed. They were found over in this range where it gapped higher like this is where they was some of the they were found. I don't remember the exact wording, but that was pretty much dismissed. The suit against them was dismissed. There was no wrongdoing was the word I was looking at. So yeah, it's been on a nice little run ever since. You bet, Jimmy. Let's look at Nucor. Now, Nucor and X, U.S. Steel. They're pretty similar, right? They're both below the 7, yet they've been holding support. Just going back and forth between them here. Both, I mean, really the stronger of the two. Really, they both look strong, but this one just very, very, very tiny days down. U.S. Steel. Okay, but what we're looking for here in either one of these is just for you want that level to hold. What is it, 52.50, right around that range. You want it to hold. For me, if I'm in this trade, that's my line in the sand. I'd get out. U.S. Steel. Let me go over there. I'd give this 29. Where Nucor's been holding level of support, this is just, I mean, just ever so slightly down. It's not bearish. Um, if 29 broke, I'd get out if I was in this trade. What you're looking for here is just a push up through that 7. You get a strong push up through the 7, it's going to look like a Tesla that we were just looking at. You get a move like that up off that, up through the 7, up over 30. That's a very bullish move. That would be a VI bull signal because you got all the averages rising. But on a Tesla, you didn't have the averages. It's not a VI bull, but that's a beautiful entrance type of trigger right through there. And so that's what I'd be looking for in this as well as Nucor. Same thing. You know, in Nucor, if you get a bounce up off of it, you know, like this, up and like that, breaking the 7, breaking up over 53, very same thing. You got a higher low locked in right there, likely running higher. Very similar. This one, you could have a tight stop. To me, if it closed right, well, it's got the 50-day below it. So this is one of those that if it starts to go against you, you got all kinds of mental reasoning to try to stay in the trade. You can say, well, if it breaks here, well, I got the 50 right there, the 50-day moving average. If it breaks that, then I'll get out. I mean, you got a lot of these things that here to keep you in a trade if you wanted to. To me, if it, yeah, you got the low right here on Monday. If that level broke in the 50, you know, then it's time to get out. If you wanted to put a stop, a tighter one right there, yeah, really about 52.50. If it looked to close down here towards 52, you could get out there. But what I'd be looking for is a push up over 53 and a 7 to remain bullish, and that would be a very strong signal that maybe 54 is ready to break. Because overall, we still got a series here. We got a low, a higher low, and if this holds, you got another higher low, and which suggesting that 54 level is likely to break. With U.S. Steel, 28, I doubt it. If it got to 28, that'd be pretty nice, but I'd wanted to hold 29 for a little bit more bullish. I always talk about how when these levels break, like a 20, like a 28, here was some resistance right here, and then it broke it. Now it's just a very brief test here. Breaks up, comes back one day, and bounces up off of the next. They'll likely come back and retest it, but it's even more bullish. It's still bullish if it got 28 and bounced higher. It's even more bullish if it holds, say 29, 28 and a half, and then bounces before it even gets back here. So if we get it, man, that's what I'd love to see. You get a candle like that, phenomenal entrance signal, very strong. All right, but that's what I'd look for. If you get it, we'll see. But that's what I'd be looking for. But overall, yeah, you could say give it to 28, but I'd want it to hold higher, just to remain a little bit more bullish on it. Yeah, a little bit of a pullback here in Boeing. It's so early. I'm not going to worry about a little pullback like this. Uh, so Morgan Stanley is down 7 cents, and then Qualcomm down 53. So we're once again we got our eyes here on Qualcomm, and if it starts to break down below Friday's low is the point that where we'll exit. Let me see what the market's doing. I see the positions rolled over a little bit. Yeah, the market's rolled over a little bit. So they're moving with the market. Uh, they're moving fairly close to the market. Boeing was the most of it. Well, I guess all of them moved fairly close to the market yesterday. Boeing I outperformed the market, but some of the other ones are there. Hewlett Packard. So Hewlett Packard had this is one that was on my runner-ups. Or was it on my top three? I don't remember, but it was there right about this point, and nice looking bull vibe. And so if it closed here, the stop would have been, I believe the stop was at that day's open, which is about right there. If it closed below that point, then it's time to get out. If it doesn't, by the end of the day, it's still early. How far are we into this day? 20 minutes, 25 minutes. It's still way early to call anything, and let's see what happens by the end of the day. But right now, there's nothing to react to right there. Yeah, I mean, with Boeing, that's not a whole lot right now. Thanks, AK. I agree with you. Okay, well, I'll be on chat with you all day long. If you have any questions, go ahead and chat those in there. You can reach me through email as well. It's carl@traderminute.com. Okay, thanks everybody. We'll talk to you soon. Bye bye.